Now, before I start this the way I normally do with a little intro on what book or movie or TV series we're going to be looking at, the little hook that hopefully pulls you into the video, you know? I just wanted to be upfront with you. This is a cheat, okay? I lied. Every video in this series is supposed to be an adaptation of a comic or a movie into the other one. The movie we're looking at today is not an adaptation of Night of the Ghoul directed by John Carpenter, which would have been amazing. It's not an adaptation of anything, actually. It's not even actually technically a movie, really. But it is pretty great, and I rarely have a reason to talk about it, and it was directed by John Carpenter. Now, if I'm being honest, the reason I made this video is because it was the first thing I thought of when I started reading Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavia's Night of the Ghoul. I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, but I have a little quirk where sometimes, occasionally, if I really love something, I won't finish it. Well, usually I don't finish things that I'm not enjoying. Actually, that's not true either. I usually watch those too. But sometimes I will save the ending of a series and then wait to rewatch it all together. I have a few examples, like 100 Bullets, which you can't see, but it's up there on a shelf. Best crime comic there ever was. Still haven't read the last volume. Just never wanted it to end. So it's on this shelf, and I'm probably going to actually get to it soon and reread through the whole thing. One of my favorite publications, CinemaSewer, which is down there on a shelf behind the camera, they do articles on old trash movies and cult favorites and other odd bits of cinema lore and knowledge. It's really like nothing else. Check it out if you haven't. I never read CinemaSewer front to back. I only flip through and catch the articles that catch me. It always leaves me with the feeling that there's something more to get to later. Like I haven't finished it, there's more, I can dig in. I remember telling the artist who makes CinemaSewer to his face this, and he looked at me like I was totally nuts. Nice guy though. I say all that to explain that Night of the Ghoul was one of those experiences. I read the first issue from Dark Horse, I fell in love, I waited to get the other 2 issues, there are only 3, and then I sat on them waiting for like this whole time. And then the trade paperback came out, and I got that, and I still waited. And this year I decided it was the right time. Night of the Ghoul, as the name bluntly makes clear, is a horror comic written by Scott Snyder, who has many great titles in his bibliography. A few are his runs on Batman, take your pick, Court of Owls, New 52 run, Black Mirror, All-Star Batman, Dark Knight's Metal, or my personal favorite, Gates of Gotham. But he's done so many titles for DC in their superhero playground. Night of the Ghoul is something more in his darker, independent, supernatural section of work, like Witches or American Vampire. The series is formatted in print at an odd page count. Each of the 3 books is thicker than a normal monthly would be, and has also been broken into chapters that don't have the feel of a 22-page monthly comic. And this is because it was originally made for the online Comixology platform. So from digital to print single issues to collected trade paperback. Francesco Francavilla is the artist. I wonder if he's tired of being referenced as the afterlife of Archie guy, but it was really iconic. And he's also worked on Batman with Snyder, and I've mentioned him before on my Graphic Adaptations video on Zorro. One of my favorites is his Black Beetle series. It's his turn at the 1940s pulp hero, taking inspiration from The Shadow and Batman and Owlman from Watchmen and Lobster Johnson, in that vein. It's really great stuff. Black Beetle. Amazing. So what about Night of the Ghoul? What's it actually about? I'm going to quote this Deadline article that, by the way, did say the book was optioned to be a movie in 2022, only a year after it was released, so we're treading in the right water here. It says, quote, "The story follows a father and son looking into the true story behind a long-lost horror film from the golden era of monster movies. But as they dig deeper, they risk unleashing the very thing the supposedly destroyed film had meant to keep hidden." And that about sums it up. It's the lost film angle, the mystery of what's on it, the connection to this monster, some supernatural element, the noir angle of the man coming to interview a patient at an elder care facility in order to continue his investigation into the lost film. I love the milieu we're in. I hope that I'm using that word milieu properly. It feels like a John Carpenter film. Not a specific film that he did, but like a film that he would do if he had the opportunity. It's dark enough. It has something to push us into the horror genre. It's clever, keeping us on our toes along with our main protagonists, and there are twists. Carpenter has certainly borrowed film noir elements in his work. Jack Burton's CB radio jargon is like internal monologue for a detective. Roddy Piper in They Live is the ultimate outsider, and Sam Neill in The Mouth of Madness is an actual detective for an insurance company, but he's a modern-day detective. Well, today's movie, is a noir with a supernatural twist about a director and the lost film he made and the search for it. Sound familiar? In 2005, Carpenter participated in a glorious TV series that had a short life. Showtime and Mick Garris put together 26 episodes over 2 seasons of a horror anthology series, each episode helmed by a different legendary horror director. Stuart Gordon, Dario Argento, Tobe Hooper, John Landis, Ernest Dickerson, and others. Each episode is standalone with nothing to connect it to the other episodes other than the opening title sequence. Now, earlier I said it wasn't really a movie, and now you can see why. It's a TV show, but I never had Showtime, so I never saw it on TV. Each episode is about a full hour, and if you read online, you'll see that these episodes are referred to as movies quite often. To further compound that assumption, the series was not released in a Season 1 or Season 2 box set like other shows are, instead releasing each episode as a separate DVD, and the initial releases had all the bells and whistles. Okay, here we got, this is the first one that came out. Slip covers, right? Commentaries and special features, behind the scene documentary, even, I bet you I still got it in there, trading cards. It's a John Carpenter trading card. Trading cards of all your favorite directors. Oh my goodness. This was really short-lived though. At least as short-lived as the show. By Season 2, the DVDs stopped with the slipcases and cards, and I think, although this is only speculation, that Showtime cut the budget of Season 2 down some. The productions feel cheaper in Season 2. And then Showtime cancels the series entirely, and Mick Garris goes to Lionsgate, and Season 3 becomes a new show called Fear Itself, which is released as a box set in a really crappy package, and the shows are pretty unmemorable. Like, if I could pretty much list all of the episodes in Season 1 of Masters of Horror, but not like a single episode of Fear Itself. I didn't even know it existed for a while after it had come out. Am I being too harsh on Fear Itself? If there's any fans that saw this show, let me know your favorite episode of Fear Itself, and I will go back and rewatch it. Now, ironically, there were actual comic book adaptations for the series, but they only made 4 issues covering 2 episodes. It was 2 two-parters, neither of which is the John Carpenter movie. Yes, I am now calling it a movie. The John Carpenter movie that we're all talking about today, Cigarette Burns. We've all seen Fight Club, right? They've got that scene where they explain it.
See, a movie doesn't come all on one big reel. It comes on a few. So someone has to be there to switch the projectors at the exact moment that one reel ends and the next one begins. If you look for it, you can see these little dots come into the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
In the industry, we call them cigarette burns.
There's also a scene in Cigarette Burns where they give an explanation for audience as well. Let's check that out.
What's up with you and the cigarette burns?
When you're watching a film and one of those bugs appears, it lets you know, Something's gonna happen. Hold on, here it comes. You take them out. All of a sudden, it's anarchy.
In our movie, Sweetman, played by Norman Reedus, is a theater owner who's hired by reclusive rich weirdo Udo Kier to find a lost film that, when first played, caused the audience to slaughter each other in a mass murder. And since then, anybody who sees the film or gets close to it is affected. Similar to The Ring, I guess. Kier offers Reedus $200,000 to find this film, and Reedus needs the money to get his theater out of hock from his deceased ex-girlfriend's father, who blames Reedus for her death, probably for good reason. Also, Gwyneth Walsh is in it. Walsh was B'Etor from Lursa and B'Etor. It's a Star Trek thing. You either know or you don't. And there's a fair amount of wicked gore and novel applications of dastardly screen violence throughout, pulling no punches and giving Carpenter a big win late into his career. So I hope you can now see why I put these two together into a graphic adaptations video. Both Cigarette Burns and Night of the Ghoul involved an outsider being our surrogate for the audience, learning about the history of a lost horrific film, being pulled into this underworld along with us, and getting glimpses into the history of the film itself. There are supernatural elements at play. There's a distinct film noir element. It's not unlike The Ninth Gate, actually. And since Cigarette Burns, there have been other films that play with this exact same premise. Antrim, Fury of the Demon. Kind of makes me wonder if Snyder had seen Cigarette Burns and was influenced in any way when he conceived of Night of the Ghoul. They're not similar in overall plot, but the mood, the subject matter is in the same ballpark for sure. Now, as a side note of possible interest, this is also the first time I think Carpenter's son Cody works with his father scoring the music. It's noteworthy because aside from it being a great score, Carpenter no longer directs movies, but he does continue to make music and tour with his son. Oh, and guess where it filmed? That's right, Vancouver, Canada. The theater that's shown in the movie is on Granville. Because we're Vancouver, to stand in for New York, France, and actually Vancouver as well. There are other episodes of Masters of Horror that really stand out. The first season is full of bangers. Takashi Miike's Imprint, Landis's Quirky Deer Woman, Argento's Jennifer. It's a really strong first season, but Cigarette Burns is my favorite of them all. You know, the purpose of making these videos is really to share cool stuff with you guys, and I hope if you know about one of these examples, maybe you'll be interested in checking out the other. That's kind of why I do this. And if you haven't heard of either of these projects before, you're welcome. I'll be back next week. Let me know what you think in the comments.